Hey everyone, Hailey here. Welcome to my channel. Today, let's talk about GPA. This is a video for all my community college hopefuls out there. If you are in the process of applying to UC or you are considering applying in the near future, what sort of GPA should you strive for in order to be accepted? I'm going to talk to you about the minimum requirements for eligibility, the GPA that makes you a more appealing and competitive applicant, because there's a big distinction between those two things, some things that you might want to consider as you're looking at your own GPA and the GPAs of other students, and then lastly, I'm going to show you all something really cool that might help you get an idea of where you fit in amongst other applicants. So let's get to it. First off, the minimum requirements for eligibility for application at the University of California system. For transfer students who are residents in the state of California, you are going to be looking at a 2.4 GPA. For students who are not residing in the state of California, you are going to be looking at a 2.8 GPA. So let's focus in on that. This is the minimum required GPA in order to be considered eligible. That does not mean that this is going to get you in to any of the UC campuses. This means in order for them to even review your application, you've got to be at least at this baseline. Now, of course, the higher your GPA is, the more that bodes well for you. But once again, just keep in mind that GPA isn't everything. We'll get to that in a minute. Another thing I want to point out is that certain campuses in the UC system are going to have much higher minimum requirements. I've taken the liberty of looking at a few of these, and just for example, for you all, UCLA is going to require a minimum of 3.2. Berkeley is requiring a 3.0, but realistically, if you want to be a competitive candidate, which means you want to be someone that they're highly interested in admitting, you're going to need a lot higher than just the minimum, especially in schools like Berkeley and UCLA. They're probably going to be looking upwards of like a 3.5 GPA preferably, but once again, GPA is not everything. For other schools, once again, 2.4 is the minimum. They're probably gonna be looking closer to above a 3.0, depending on the school, depending on the major, and all of that sort of stuff. Let's talk about that as well, because there are variants that are going to affect your GPA baseline that you should strive for. So this minimum baseline GPA applies not only by UC campus, but it also applies to the college within the UC campus. Let me make that a little bit more clear. For example, at UCLA, UCLA is the institution that you all think of applying to. But depending on your major, you are going to fit into different colleges. The colleges are the different ways that the majors are grouped together and housed together within UCLA. So the College of Letters and Sciences, for example, this is going to house humanities, social sciences, physical sciences. There's also the School of Art and Architecture. As the name implies, this concerns everything related to art, music, dance, etc. There actually might be a separate music school, so don't quote me on that one. And then, of course, the School of Engineering, once again, computer science, engineering, all that stuff is going to be housed under that school. These schools, engineering, art and architecture, the College of Science, which sometimes is just referred to as the college, they all might have their own minimum GPA for eligibility for transfer. So when you're looking into these schools and considering where you want to go, you're also going to need to look at these divisions. I know this is all starting to sound very overwhelming and confusing, but I promise that if you look it up on the school's website, you can find this information very easily. Another factor to pay attention to is major. So different majors are going to have different requirements for eligibility. I'll use my own major as example. Applied linguistics at UCLA, probably not going to be as competitive as engineering or computer science at UCLA. So that's something to think about when you're looking into these schools and deciding what you want to pursue and where you want to pursue it. Along the lines of looking at the numbers and going to the school's websites, there's something amazing that I want to show you all. So this is an important resource that I want to highlight for you, and it's called the Transfer Fall Admissions Summary. This is available on the UC Admissions website. I am going to link it down below, both in the pinned comment and in the description, so please check that out. This is a breakdown numbers-wise by the campuses in the UC system. You can play around with it and narrow it down all you want, but there is a lot of information to look at here. You can look at applicant characteristics such as residency, you can look at their transfer GPA, you can even look at gender, first gen status, stuff like that. You can look by applicants for transfer, you can look at transfer admits, people who actually enrolled, etc. You can look at resident and non-resident. If I narrow down by transfer admits and then I'm looking at the applicant characteristic of GPA, the highest group of admitted students falls between a 3.6 and a 4.0 GPA. Okay, so this is 12,000 plus of the applicants. The next highest group is one grade below that, so it's 3.2 to 3.59. That's 8,000 of the applicants, and so on and so forth. So you can see, of course, as your GPA gets higher, that's gonna be better for you in terms of being admitted to one of these schools. So I would encourage you all to play around with it and see what kind of information you can get, but you can get even more granular than this, you guys. What you can do is go to the school that you want to go to. So let's just take UCLA, for example, because that's easy for me. And you look at their profile of admitted students. This is sort of the same thing, but on an even more narrowed in level. So you can look at the school, as I mentioned, you can look, for example, at the admitted GPA over the last year or the last few years for the college, for the School of Art and Architecture, for this engineering school. You can click further and you can go in and look per major for the past few years and see who has been admitted in terms of GPA. So it is a really incredible resource, guys. This is something you should definitely check out. What is the point of this? This is not going to help you determine whether you can get into UC or not. And the UC even says this on their website where they have all this data listed. This is openly admitted. This is not going to help you predict whether you can get into UC. What it can do is give you an idea, a framework, right, of who's been admitted in the past in recent years, what their GPA was. And this can help you see if you're kind of falling in the most preferable crowd that they're seeking out in their applications, okay? So most UCs will have this information available on their website. You might have to do a little digging, but it's out there. I've taken it upon myself to include links to these profile of admitted students, as many as I could find, so check out the pinned comment for that information. Hopefully that kind of makes the hunt a little bit easier for you guys. Let's say that you're listening to this video and you've taken a look at the profile of admitted students or you've taken a look at the fall admission summary and you're just not falling in that preferable group, most desirable group. What do you do next? Well, that's another video for another day, but I want to tell you all, don't lose hope, even if your GPA is not exactly, where it needs to be or where it should be in order to be the most desirable, because GPA is not everything. The amazing thing about the UC system is that the application review is holistic. So that means that the GPA is just one component of everything they're looking at when they're deciding who they want to admit and who they want to reject. So please keep this in mind. That is the whole reason behind the UC application. If you've just filled it out, then you know. It was not only reporting all of your grades, it was also writing essays. It was also listing extracurriculars. It was also talking about any extenuating circumstances that you may have faced over the past few years. All of these things are taken into consideration, guys. I know it's really discouraging when you're looking at these numbers and you're just thinking, I'm one of, hundreds of thousands of people who have applied this year. And that is absolutely true. You are one out of a large group. But at the end of the day, you are a person. Know that someone will read your application, they will read your essays, and they might see something in you that they really like and they think that you could do well at the higher education level. Let this be a very good framework, as I said, for seeing what your potential is, but it's not the end-all be-all. There is more to life than your GPA, trust me. All right, everyone, I hope that this video helped you. If you liked this video or benefited from its content, please give it a big thumbs up, share it with anybody that you think might also benefit from this content. I think this would be great to share with anyone else who is applying to UC this year. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I am always posting content related to this sort of realm, UC, community college transfer. That's really my bread and butter, and that's what I like to talk about. So if that rings true with you and that sounds good, join the channel, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.